keep taking that next best step, And if I can use an example is, all my life I've been working with women in different capacities. I've always wanted to start doing a worldwide program, and I've stepped out and I went, whew, that might be a bit scary. And so for me, it's like I'm finally doing that next best step, the next best step. And it's so liberating. And in life's so much easier. And you start drawing those things towards you that you really want, that really make you happy.
Right. So when we listen to ourselves, well, first of all, when we become aware. So I think there's a part of becoming aware that I like that you said. And then I think deep down, if we listen to ourselves, we kind of know how we'd like to live.
Yeah. And
so
it's interesting because quite often I work with women, and it's like they are looking for permission. And so I feel like I've fallen into this role sometimes, giving women permission that they don't need permission. So we make it way harder than it needs to be.
Right, and I think that goes back to the universal human thoughts that we had about what women's role it was in society. And I think that sometimes as women we think we have to ask permission. But we really don't. Why don't we, Janine? Why don't we have to ask permission? What can we do to set ourselves free from that? I know it's being aware, and then totally engaging and finding out what you really want. Are there any other things that we can do to just kind of set ourselves free and saying, I'm not going back there. I'm not going to the place where I have to ask permission, because that's what we've done all our lives. All my life I've asked for permission, and I just don't anymore, So what are some ideas, and how do we turn that around and then awaken that burning desire, as you say, that's deep within us? How do we do that?
Yeah, and I think, for sure, the wisdom comes with age. But I think we slow things down and we stay, connected more to, the outer, like what's more important on the outer than the inner. So it's, the Maya Angelou, the saying something like, know better, we know better than do better, or do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And so, so the knowing is the awareness, and then the doing is the action.
Mm-hmm.
And so often the action doesn't come from that inner knowing. So starting with the inner knowing, and the inner knowing is knowing that you are pure love. You are whole. You are complete. You are already worthy. But the truth is we straddle both worlds. We straddle the outer world and the inner world, the form, the formless, or the absolute and the relative. And so we have, I think in our society, more this North American culture, we are disconnected from the truth of who we are, and I say truth with a capital T. And so we have not, we undervalue that part. So when we do get still, we do get quiet, and it takes time, it takes practice. I'm not saying you got to go live on a mountaintop and, hum and pray and drum, all that sort of stuff all day long, but, building in a ritual in your life where you spend 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, or maybe 2 minutes on the hour every hour, at just tapping into that inner knowing, because we do straddle these two worlds, but we've got all our footing in the outer world. What our car looks like, what our job looks like, what our children look like, how much money we have in the bank. And to straddle both worlds, we have it in there because we do live in this outer world, but to bring back the balance and connect to that inner knowing, our essence, our truth with a capital T, because if it's not in balance, we step out and we start connecting to the small truth, which is, not all that true. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. And oftentimes we get so busy and so caught up in everything that we've never had that 5 minutes that you're talking about, or that 10 minutes to tune in ourselves. We go out the door, and then life happens. The things happen, the cars, the visual, all of that, and we haven't taken the time to ground ourselves first thing in the morning and say,
Absolutely.
I'm enough.
Yeah, and it will be kind of like a task at first, but eventually it'll be like a place where this is, I can't wait for my 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night, or my alone time where I can really connect. But I think that's why women also are so depleted, because we're go, go, go. We buy into the facade. We juggle multiple roles. And we're so connected to the limited world, what we can see and touch and hear and taste, and, this separateness. But when we connect to, what's our life force, where unlimited possibilities are, we become more guided and not as burnt out. We feel more energized. So living from this place, and whether that's taking that time in the morning to be still, quiet. I'm not going to give people a lesson on mindfulness here or meditation, but it's not, again, know better, do better. Anyone here on the listeners can go, okay, well, I want to spend quiet time. How about I just Google meditation, and here's a 5-minute meditation, and I'll just listen to that in the morning and listen to that. Like, we know there's a next best step. So what would that be for you or you or you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so it's connecting to that deeper part of yourself, and it becomes so liberating.
Right. No, I think that's very good. There's no one fits all. Like, I do a bit of meditation at some days, and sometimes I don't. But it's what we're after when Janine and I are talking about is that connection with yourself. When you spoke about being relieved when you have that 4 or 5 minutes, that's how I feel when I have like 4 or 5 minutes with myself in the morning, just being still. I absolutely love it. And what happens is you become, this is interesting because this has only happened to me, as I've aged and become more aware. I love myself. I'm my own best friend, if you know what I mean. Like, I like spending time with me. I like to go for a walk with just myself and be in my own thoughts. And that's, I think, when you realize that you are worthy and you are enough, then you're not fighting against yourself all the time. You can actually take time to just be with you and be at peace at being still.
Yeah. I always say that, the best proven medicine is radical self-acceptance and unconditional love. And that's a big one. Like, do many people get there 100%? Maybe not, but to move along that spectrum, from not feeling so worthy and not loving yourself, but moving along that spectrum. And there becomes a tipping point where you, like I said, when you start, maybe spending time in nature, having, 5 minutes to yourself in the morning and night, when you start being quiet and journal, and this place of stillness where it comes from being a chore to like, and a sense of liberation, you start moving along that spectrum towards more unconditional self-love. And I know that's thrown around a lot, but I think that there's a misconception that, self-care, I see a lot of, in social media, self-care, and yes, we should be doing self-care, but, it's almost like this place of being selfish, like I'm going to look after myself. But I think we need to redefine, especially women, what self-care is. Self-care is responsible. It's imperative, and it's responsible. And taking yourself time for yourself to connect to you is the best gift you can give yourself, but also everybody, all your loved ones, everyone in your world.
Absolutely. So with that, you know what? Our time is coming to a close. So I'd love you to tell our audience, Janine, what free gift you brought for them today. So let them know how they can get a hold of you.
Oh, awesome. Yes, I would love this. So if anyone listening, if this resonates at any level, I'm totally open to having a conversation. Really, it's if this resonates, period. And so if you are, ready to reclaim your personal power, your energy, and get really clear on what's calling you, to access your truth with a capital T, so you're not wasting time, like, looking for answers. I call it looking for answers where they don't exist, because that's quite often what we're doing, is looking for answers where they don't exist. Creating the wealth, and when I say wealth, it's more like a wealthy life, not necessarily money, but creating wealth, yes, partly in money, but also your health, your career, your relationships, Like I said, I've got an intuitive ability to really unveil the blind spots in others. So I have an event. It's live in Vancouver, but I also am planning to do this virtually. Or if you just want to connect, it's called the Burning Desire Day. And, I'll leave you with this one last question. And, I need to give you the link too. Okay. One last question that I'm going to leave you with, and then I'll give you the link is, are you living your calling? Are you really doing what you come to do, be, and create in the world? And with that, if you want to book a session with me, I would love to connect. The link is janinebrolly.as.me/desire, and I'll read that out. So Janine Brolly, JANINEBROLLY.as.me/desire.
Thank you, Janine. That's exciting, and that's generous. And I would hope that some of our audience out there goes to that site and downloads that and looks at that link. So that's great. Thank you. And I'm excited because we get to hear Janine next week, where we're going to talk about how we give our energy and our power up. So if you have any questions about my show or any of my guests, feel free to go over to my site at lorrainehoving.com. And here you'll also see a download from a free chapter, a book that actually Janine was with me and is in the book too. She's written a chapter, and the book is called Life Boost. So I have really enjoyed this, and I can hardly wait till next week so that we can get into this a little bit more about the energy and the power, because I think that's very, very important for the audience out there to hear. So I will see you back here next week, Janine. And remember out there, it is never too late. It's never too late to lose weight. Never too late to learn how to love yourself. Never too late to feel your self-worth or live your calling. It is never too late. It is just never too late. We'll see you back here next week. And thank you, Janine. See you next week.
Thank you, Lorraine. Thanks, everyone.